Hello, algebra students. So we are going to quickly talk about kind of some preliminary stuff for Unit 2, which is all about functions, and we're going to be graphing things and talking about the coordinate plane. So I want to make sure that we go over what is the coordinate plane, what are the quadrants, and some vocabulary with that. So let's begin talking about the coordinate plane, which is a fancy phrase for just a graph. So you guys hopefully have seen a graph before. There's four parts, four sections to the graph, and we call those quadrants. So the first quadrant is the top right. And we use Roman numerals when we are talking about the quadrants. So that looks like an I, but really it's quadrant 1. Okay, top left is quadrant 2, and we got quadrant 3, down bottom left, and quadrant 4, bottom right. So there's four sections to the graph. We call those quadrants. So we can skip here to quadrants. We can say the quadrants are the four sections of the coordinate plane. Okay, so then we have something called axes, and axes are just these two main lines of the graph. So we have the x-axis and we have the y-axis. So the x-axis is this horizontal axis. So we'll write in x-axis right here. So again, this is the horizontal axis of our graph. So we can write down where it says x-axis, the horizontal axis. And similarly, we can say, all right, well, the y-axis is the vertical one. The vertical axis. So that would be the y-axis. Then we have a fancy word for this middle point. So this middle point right there, where the two axes cross or intersect each other, is called the origin. Okay, that point is the point 0, 0. Okay, we'll talk about naming points in a second. So that's the origin. So we can say by this definition, where the axes cross, or we'll use intersect. It's that center point. And I like to use 0, 0. So you guys know and remember that that's the point. So that's some info about the coordinate plane. Okay, now the coordinate plane is kind of like a grid, and we like to name the points and name their locations, and we do that using numbers. Okay, so an ordered pair, which is this definition right here, okay, are what we use to plot points on the coordinate plane. So when I look at an ordered pair, okay, the x coordinate always comes first. So that would be the 5. The y coordinate always comes second, and that would be the 7. So we'll talk about naming points on our next page of notes. The other thing that we like to say is input and output. So when we're talking about input values and output values, we're talking about functions, and we're going to be discussing a lot about functions this whole chapter. So input values are x values and output values are y values. Okay? we've talked a little bit about this when we made those table of values. Okay, what we plug in are the x values, and what we get out are the y values. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Input values we call x values, our output values are the y values. So you guys can take those notes, and then we're going to move on. Okay, so now we're going to talk about actually plotting the ordered pairs. So when we do plot ordered pairs, we always start at the origin. That's like our starting point whenever we're naming a point. So we can write in the word origin. We always start at 0, 0. Okay, so then we're going to look at the x coordinate, and we're going to move this number of units, whatever that number is, as the x coordinate right, if it's positive. Okay, positive means right for our x values. And similarly, we're going to move left if the value is negative. There we go. Okay, so again, start at the origin, look at the x coordinate. Move left or right depending on positive or negative. And for the y, then we're going to move up or down. So my y coordinate, and we're going to move whatever that number is. Whatever that number is, we're going to move that many units up if it's positive. Okay, positive is up. And likewise, we're going to move down if that value is negative. Then we plot and label the point. So let's try this. Let's start with actually plotting the points. So if I want to point this first, or if I want to plot, this first point, 6, 8, okay, let's start at 0, 0. Okay, so 0, 0 is right here. So all I'm going to do is move 6, 8. So we're going to move right because it's positive 6 spots. And we're going to move up because 8 is positive 8 spots. And I'm going to draw a dot right there. Okay, now I'm going to erase this part so that we can continue to plot points without it getting too messy. So I do have my point right here at 6, 8. Guys, it works like a grid. If you've ever played Battleship before, very similar. Don't overthink it. Let's plot the rest of these. Point B. Negative, and by the way, excuse me, that quadrant was quadrant 1. Point B, negative 3, 7. So we're going to move left, negative 3, and then we're going to go up 7. So negative 3 to the left, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, that is in quadrant 2. Let's go for point C. Negative 6, negative 5. So we're going to go left 6 and then down 5. Right there. Now you are supposed to write the letter. That is quadrant 3. You are supposed to write the letter. So let's go back and just make sure that we're labeling as we go. That was my bad. Okay. Let's do the next one. D, 4, negative 10. Positive 4 on the x, so write 4 all the way down to 10 on my y-axis. And that is, what do you know, it's quadrant 4. Point D. Let's keep going. E is 0, 2. Okay, guys, so when I have a 0, that just means I don't move left or right for my x, okay, because the 0 is in the x. So I'm at 0, and I'm just going to go up 2. And so that means if there's a 0 involved, that my point's going to be right on an axis, okay? So this is not in a quadrant. It's not in a quadrant. It's on the y-axis, okay? And that is point E. Okay, similar situation here with point F. we have -4, 0. So we are going to move left 4 because it's on the x, but we're not going to go up or down any. This one's on the x-axis. Point F. And finally, point G, 0, 0. Boom, right on the origin. So that is actually right on the origin. And there you have it, plotting points. Now you guys might see in black that there are some points already plotted. So this is just kind of working backwards. Let's go ahead and name these points. Point H is right here. So on my x, that's right 9 and up 1. 9, 1. Let's go to I. So I is right here. We got -8 on my x and up 7. -8, 7. X always comes first when I write a point. Y always comes second. Let's go to J. Ooh, this one's on one of the axes. It doesn't go left or right, which means my x is 0, but it does go down 8. 0, -8. Last but not least, we got K. Okay, and that one, let's see, is 10 left, so that's going to be -10. And it's down 5. -5. There you have it. Okay. So, we talked about some vocabulary and plotting points. So hopefully you guys can pick up on that, and then we will lecture all together about functions. See you soon.